Hi, welcome to another episode of Art with George. Tonight we're going to concentrate on doing the remaining horizontal lines. What that's going to do is establish a pattern from which I could build and do a little bit of crosshatch. Right now I did the pencil part of Butch, and I did the outline on my own. The outline is just like a little something for which I could hang on shade and stuff, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. We're going to do the initial outline. And that means we're going to do the actual horizontal lines. From that, we can build in all the other information. You can watch me as I do this. They're all going to be evenly spaced. And that in itself is a trick. In between each one, I'm going to put a little bit of stipple. If I feel that it's just not properly aligned. You can see it as I go along. You see the patterns being established. The great thing is I can always go back over this later and put more stipple here and there as I see it needed. Now, I'm going to make sure that a lot of this information makes sense. I'm going to try to justify the amount of space between each line. As you can see, I really got a good feel for the shirt. I'm just going to get a different amount of space between each one. You see me doing that every now and then. I'm trying to get some air to get to the tip of a repetograph. It works the way old fountain pens work. You have to justify the amount of ink flow, and that's what I'm doing. So every time you see that, it's not me being nervous, it's me trying to get the ink to flow to the tip of the pen. It's working out pretty nicely. Anybody who knows the old fountain pens will know what I'm going through. The repetograph pen is based on the same type of ebb and flow. If the ink doesn't flow to the tip, you're going to have a problem. Right now it's working pretty good. And it's coming out pretty good. Tonight I'm going to try to get as much of the horizontal line in. Later on we can always put crosshatch in, which would mean like a 36% angle change. We could always do the vertical lines. Right now we're just interested in doing the horizontal. It's what we build on. And to me, the horizontal is really the groundworks for everything. We really see initially the horizontal more than we see anything else. Now, we're actually working where the skin is. And I'm going to do a little dot structure. Then I go into a line. Stipple, 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 line. Do a little bit of stipple underneath the arm, where the shirt contacts the arm. Kind of a tedious way to do it, but when you're doing pen and ink, it is a situation where if you make one mistake, it lasts for a lifetime. I don't believe in using whiteout. None of my paintings or drawings ever have whiteout in them. I don't like that. It looks pretty nasty. It looks like I don't know what I'm doing. And my pen and ink is tight. I don't use any whiteout. All right, we go to some of the folds on the inside of the shirt. I'm pretty happy with the way this is turning out because I think the bonsai plant, which I worked on a little, is coming out really nicely. It's a Japanese bonsai, which means it looks like a fir tree, which is what I wanted. I actually make this a little bit more full. Now, in the sense that I'm only doing the horizontal line, it won't look full yet. It will eventually. I'm just at this point really dwelling on that. It will work nicely. It'll come out to a nice full semblance of understanding. Right now it's just a very light treatment. All right, we put a little line on that side. We're going to put a little bit underneath. To understand how this effect works, some people, when they do crosshatch, they only do 1 or 2 amounts of line. I do crosshatch and stipple, which means line and dots, lines and dots. I'm the type of guy that likes to use both line and dot. You'll see very rarely the combination is used. I like it. Now, the trick is to make it justified in the end. Okay. I was told by a dear friend of mine that I don't face the camera too much. And you know, it's kind of hard to face the camera and draw. So what I think I'll do is every now and then, I like the way that's working. Every now and then I can always relay more information. I'm not a very good commentator. I don't face cameras too well. Sorry. There we go. Now, each finger has to be justified, and the way to do that is not to have the line stop, but do stipple, stipple, line, stipple, line, stipple, line. Instead of just a line, which is kind of boring and doesn't really do the story well. So if we do this way, if we just put a little bit of stipple and do that, it's going to be much better. From a point like this where fingers meet, I will go with an honest line and then break into stipple. That makes a lot more sense to me. That's exactly what we're going to do. Now, I like the way that's working. We're going to go into the next finger. Same deal. Line, stipple. Working out nicely now. As long as I get the horizontal is working out nicely right now, so I want to keep that going. I want to keep the entire assemblance justified. If we have the individual fingers, now we do the actual fingernails, which is also going to be tough. I would just like to do a moderate line around each one, not a thick one. We are going to the actual shirt now. We're going to actually put a little bit of shadow underneath the collar. A little bit of shade underneath the collar. Now, when you build shade underneath an area like this, you're going to use more than one amount of line. I'll probably use a 36 angle combined with another angle, because that's really a lot of shade. But right now, to begin with, I'm just going to really concentrate on the horizontal. We'll build that later. We're going to build it where necessary. You can see I did the pencil part of it first. And I think it's essential to know where you're going to go with something. So I always go with a pencil sketch first. Now I teach a couple of classes in adult eds here and there, and one of my students said to me that, don't you think it's too much to actually do a pencil first? I do a lot of painting also. And I usually cover up the painting with let's say I do a pencil and I cover it up with the paint. But I see it's necessary, because if you don't have the paint, the pencil on there, how do you know where you're going to go? I don't trust just plopping the paint on the canvas. I'd rather have some sort of idea where I'm going to go with it. Yeah, one of my students really put me to question about that. Why do you put all that pencil on the canvas if you're going to cover it up with paint? Simple. I need to know where I'm going to go. I'm not a Sunday afternoon hack. I need to know exactly how much information I need on there. Same thing with this guy. I needed to know exactly where I was going to go. It was necessary. It will be covered up by ink, but at least I know where I'm going to go with it. I know exactly the information that's necessary. I think if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have Butch's appearance as well. I think I got him perfect because I did the pencil first. Now, I notice I'm pushing my easel away, but that happens too. I think Butch's face turned out pretty good. I got his hair just right. Turned out real good. And I think the bonsai turned out pretty good. Now, I did a lot of work in pencil to begin with. Granted. But it was all necessary. It wasn't unnecessary. It was pretty much part of the package. I don't trust just doing a drawing on a whim and hoping it turns out good. I'd rather do too much work. Again, I'm not a Sunday afternoon painter. I take the photograph myself of the subject. I do a lot of prep work. Okay, I'm going to make the shirt underneath that area very dark. The apron obviously is going to look white. Now let's get the rest of that bonsai plant in. When I did the bonsai plant initially, I only had the bristles coming out one direction. But after looking at several actual bonsai plants, I noticed they don't just go in one direction, they go in many directions. So we're going to justify that now. Especially on this one particular one. All right, having done that now, I could do some more of this line work around it, but I had to do the actual bonsai plant. I'm going to actually do the spine of it. At the top of it, I'm just going to lightly insinuate that it's there. All right, we have a good little thing going with the bonsai plant. Now I could actually go in here and do some horizontal information. It won't really interfere with the plant because the shirt is darker. If I didn't state as much, it would look kind of stupid. But this way we have more information and it does justify the means. Here we go. Again, the thing about horizontal is to make sure these lines are real justified. I start out with a line, I break into stipple. The trick is also to make sure each spacing is 100% the same. If you start going into an area and make the spacing uneven, it's going to look very messy. It's going to look very incorrect. If you try to keep the spacing between each line the same, the magic tack works. If it doesn't, if you make an incorrect connection, the whole thing is going to be messy and the magic tack is interrupted. So here we go. All art is a magic tack. If you do something incorrectly, the magic tack is not correctly presented and the viewer is going to see the flaw. So the trick is to keep it going. So I'm going to keep these lines as close together as possible. As you can see, each line is almost in the same amount of space as the one preceding it. That is the magic tack. Working good. All right, let's do the shirt here, the cuff. We have a shirt that's been cuffed up. Present it the same way. Keep it going, keep it going. You break the pattern, the trick is ruined. Excellent. Let's keep it going. We're doing pretty good. The upper part is getting nicely presented. I'm going to do some of the sleeves that are folded up. And again, some more. And a little bit more. I could actually do the work on the bonsai plant itself, the area where the plant rises from. Let's keep that going. Very good. Let's show you something here. The actual plant itself. We're going to do a little thing on the box to show you what I'm talking about. We're going to do the actual feeder. This is you actually see what I'm talking about, where the line has to be just perfectly spaced. So we'll start with 1. 2. That thing moved. All right, let's do this correctly. Gotta make sure I don't move it. See, if you lean on it too much, it moves. The trick is not to put too much weight on it. So here we go. The next step is going to be to actually maintain the 33% and 66% of a different angle. I'm not going to do that now, I'm just doing it horizontal. You'll see that when I do the next step. Working. I don't go all the way to the edge. I leave a little bit of a white area. That actually creates kind of a depth to the planter, which is what you want. If I went all the way to the edge, it would kind of make it look too solid. You put a little white at the end, it really gives it a sense of weight. It's coming out pretty good. I don't want to go into the fingers. So I'm going to stop the flow of ink right into the hand. Nice. Bring that one in, bring this one in. I could do a little stipple at the edge. Perfect. You can see why it works out great. You always just want to leave a little space there. Now, back to the actual apron. We don't want to go too high up on this. We just want to keep it at that point. When we do another set of lines going up, we'll address a different angle altogether. Right now we're just gonna put a little shadow under the arm. That's another thing. We don't want to keep it going too far, and we're going to break into stipple when we do that. So you can see the line only goes maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then I break into stipple. The reason we do that, no shadow just stops. It always breaks off gradually. That's what I'm going to do. Also, we're not going to have this line come straight out of the apron. We're going to leave a little white there and then break it off gently. Nice. We're also going to do this on this side. We're going to have the wrinkle start here. We're going to have it break off into a stipple. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. The reason we do it this way is to show the fact that it's, let's say there's a little bit of tension there. You might tie it off in the back. We want to show the tension of the knots in back. If we just had a simple white, it would be ridiculous, but we do this. And the way to express it best is a little cross-sectional stipple. We're going to break it off into a total stipple instead of a line. Very good. We could do it on the other side as well, but for right now we're going to do this. Okay, got a little stipple there just to make it even. Okay, we're going to put a little line, which indicate that he's got a little bit of a string there, which would be cool. We don't have to be too finicky about it being perfect. That's going to be great. We're going to make it a double line to show it's a string. Break into 2, make it 2 lines. Very interesting. Okay. We're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to show a little weight under that one, and we do that by line and stipple. I'd say we're halfway done with the horizontal. The really interesting horizontal is going to be underneath where the apron causes shadow in the pants. So that's going to be the tough one. We're almost done with the apron. That's going to be fun. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed this type of caricature. It's fun. And again, I really love doing it's easy because Butch is a lendable face. Some people want to do caricatures of themselves. You got to be careful. Don't pick anybody. Pick somebody who's got a good feature. You're gonna doom yourself to failure if you pick someone who's just not appropriate. I could do it. I actually am doing caricatures of. I teach a class at a senior center in New Britain, and I'm doing everybody who's in my class. I've done enough of them that I can pull it off, but let me tell you, it's tough. If you're going to do a caricature, make sure you find somebody who's actually suitable for it. You're going to be doomed to failure otherwise. But I'm pretty lucky. I'm good at it. I've done it a long time, so I pretty much know how to do it. All right, we are doing pretty good. I'm going to try the other side now. With the other side, I don't have to do the same thing. I don't have shadow coming from the arm. There is no arm here. So what I'm going to do is stipple, line, stipple. That's a good way to do it. Stipple, line, stipple. Keep this moving. I'm going to do the stipple first, line as we go, then stipple again. The reason and you can always go freehand with the stipple, you don't have to use a ruler. What's going to happen there is it becomes a little bit, I know a lot of people say, why do you use a ruler? I like the uniformity. I like the way it becomes justifiable. You do freehand, you don't have that justifiable magic. It just becomes a melange of line, and I don't care for that. I'd rather have this kind of grid pattern. We're doing really good on this. Like I said, we're halfway through. We're halfway through the horizontal, and the vertical part is going to be real easy. We're going to really flow through it. I'll make sure this stays on the table. Yeah, I think we're the top part of Butch is almost done. Looking good. I think what I want to do is do a little bit of a shadow here. I like that. It's coming out really nice. The good thing about this too, it can be reduced. So it'll look really good. It's going to hold up nicely. All right, looking good. I like the. We're all done. It's looking good. It's looking good. Just need a little bit of shadow here. All right, let's do one more set of lines here. I'm going to bring some of these wrinkles across, which makes sense.